É uma estrutura incrível, o evento é realmente gigante, mas a plateia daqui não é tão entusiasmada quanto no Brasil. They're pretty loud in Brazil. Really.
Welcome back to Gamescom 2013, where I'm joined here by Pain Gaming's coach, Necro, or Guilherme, I hope I pronounced that somewhat right. Tell me about this game you got against Dark Passage, because I was talking to Gaming Gear before, and they said, we actually think that Dark Passage is a lot better than we've seen in the group stage.
Yeah, coming to this tournament, we actually thought that Dark Passage was the best thing, but basing on the regional finals of every country that we've seen. And we didn't actually had any footage of Gaming Gear, so we are kind of afraid of them. But yeah, Dark Passage seemed like the strongest, and we thought that the immunity was the weakest, but that seemed to be a little shift around.
Absolutely. So going up against Dark Passage here, you must have been wary. Picks, nothing that special, a top lane kill, something we've seen a lot yesterday as well. Is there anything else? What was the general strategy?
Well, they seem to pick Kayle because they wanted to pick Zed, and they think that Kayle is a counter to Zed, but we don't actually think that. But they saw us losing to a Zed, so maybe that's what went through their heads, but we are prepared to every pick of them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that you seem very prepared, not just in this match. It seems like you've put absolutely everything on the line. What do you think you've gone or done more or better than the other teams here?
Well, certainly our experience is what really makes us better than them. Well, we've been to Hanover, and since then we've been progressing so far. We've been battling against really strong teams, so we're used to pretty much every kind of high-level strategy. They are probably new to this kind of metagame or strong opponents. They probably dominate their scene on their small regions, but coming to an international scene where there are strong opponents, it really starts to show whose team is better. So since we have this since February, we'll probably win everything with just sheer experience.
All right, that's a bold statement. Let me ask you, you'll be going up against Gaming Gear. Is that the outcome that you thought if you watched the group stage yesterday? And is anything in the group stage surprised you?
They seem pretty locked in a single strategy, so we are already analyzing them, and we'll come prepared for the finals.
You think you say you're gonna take everything here. What would it mean for you and for your team to be on that world stage representing Brazil?
Well, certainly it will be the time of our lives.
Well, thank you very much. All right, now it's time for us to head back over to Quickshot and Kobe at the desk for our next game.
Thank you very much, Sharks, and it is time for the second round in this best of three between Pain Gaming and Dark Passage. With one more win, Pain Gaming will join Gaming Gear in Friday's wildcard finale, and based on their domination of Dark Passage the first two times they played, Pain has to be feeling incredibly confident.
Yeah, they've picked a similar team comp to what they've used all weekend long. They picked the right fights, they made the right decisions when it came to objectives. They just kind of had the control of the game for the entire early game, mid game, and late game. And even though Naru and Dark Passage tried to keep up in a base race, they didn't have the stamina, they couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, not at all. Setting the pace for Pain was their AD carry, BRTT, in his own clothing line, I might add. He was able to counter Naru's Z split push with a very sneaky twitch, 7, 2, and 8 as far as his stats were concerned, and it was a good performance.
That is a very scary dual lane that they have. BRTT and Expion have dominated their wildcard games here at Gamescom. They're not the only lane, though, to do well in this matchup. So far, their games against Dark Passage, every lane has dominated. Beanon up top, 4-0-7 as Malphite. He didn't win in CS, but he really made his presence felt elsewhere. Sir T, 4-0-9 as Zac in the jungle. Obviously impressing Jat, one jungler that you would definitely want to have on your side. And then Kemi in the middle. Very, very good plays on that Orianna. He had rushed the Zhonya's Hourglass just to make sure that he wouldn't get assassinated by Zed, and he really didn't slip up at any point during the game.
Yeah, at no point during the course of that match did you feel like Naru Zed was really something that Pain was afraid of.
So he killed Kami once in the river before he had gotten the Zhonya's. Cammy was like, that's never happening again.
Got the Zhonyas, and it didn't.
Once and you're done.
In terms of the matchup, I do want to comment on what Necro was saying. The manager was like, well, we've scouted Gaming Gear, they've only got one strat. I find it kind of funny because we've seen a similar play style from Pain, this very heavy, and we'll see if they're going to pull it off again in this matchup. Once again, Israel being taken out the pool.
Well, I think that Dark Passage really need to work on their positioning because they actually had bad positioning in laning phase and in the mid game around the dragon fights and then even in the late game as well. So Pain is like, they're the team that will punish you the most for stepping out of line. If you step out of line once, they're gonna hit you with an Orianna ult, the Shockwave, the Crescendo, then they're gonna hit you with an Unstoppable Force, and then they're gonna hit you again with Zac and bounce all over your face and then you're just bloody on the floor. So you have to worry about your positioning at all phases of the game here.
I got a little nervous there for a second. You're getting a bit aggressive there, Kofi. In terms of the picks and bans, insta-lock on the Zac for Pain Gaming. It worked so well for Surti in the previous game. Malphite is still up. One of the things that Jat was highlighting in his post-game analysis of game 1 was like, ban Malphite, take Zac, but when you're not first pick, it's way more difficult to try and pull that off.
Yeah, so Pain again with the Zac. That's really the main point that they use to set up most of their combos with. So tagging Orianna onto that one, they can always pull off that amazing Shockwave combo, and then they also still have Malphite up, so pretty much the same things that they used last game, they can still use today.
So it's interesting to see in this particular match now, Pain, they had basically every champion from the previous game available to them. They've modified it a little bit in that they've got the Vayne instead of the Twitch. Maybe just experimenting, getting some practice on the stage in preparation for, finals or something like that.
Hey, they need to win this game. Yes, if they lose, then they'll have one more chance. But I don't feel like it's Surti or BRTT just getting bored on Twitch and saying, oh, I want to try my hand at Vayne now.
Well, we'll have to see how it works out for them. Do see that Dark Passage have locked in Gragas and Caitlyn as their next two picks. Now, we've seen some very good Gragas play from Gaming Gear's mid laner Mazarin. And I was particularly impressed. He got Baron steals, he was bursting people down. It is a powerful champion when used in the right hands.
And it's an interesting choice against the Pain team that likes to go with the huge CC combos and group up. If Dark Passage can split that team apart and pick somebody off, that may be the answer that they're looking for. Right now, Gragas, you can use that ult defensively, but if Zac's able to get in there already, then that means the Orianna ball is by your team. And you'll have to be very, very quick if you're going to be able to knock him back out.
Well, we'll have to see how quick his reaction times are in this particular match, because that ball delivery system of Jarvan and Zac is there. Not exactly the Malphite Zac, but Jarvan arguably even better than Malphite. Not only can he knock you up, he'll lock you in.
And he can come from a longer distance because he can combo the EQ into the ult, the Cataclysm, and if he does have the Orianna ball with him, then he's coming with Shockwave loaded. So there's two systems here, and if it's a spread out team fight, that actually benefits Vayne more because she chases down straggling targets.
Well, we'll have to see how this works out because there is a lot of mobility on the side of Dark Passage for the time being. Lee Sin should be able to hop out. Gragas can belly slam through. I mean, everybody in Dark Passage has the ability with their skills just to get out of a Cataclysm. However, if they're all knocked up and bounced and shockwaved, it's going to be scary. So another situation where Dark Passage can't afford to group up.
Well, with that last pick, you can tell what Dark Passage are thinking. They want the counter to this Pain team to be splitting the team up and then allowing the Kazakhs to single out whoever gets knocked closest to their team. They can burst that one down and start getting the chain hops there from a level 11 plus Kazakhs. Then that could be the answer in the late game.
The interesting thing about that is they've got to make it to level 11 without falling too far behind, which, to be fair, it's a little overly harsh, but they fell further and further and further behind the longer that laning phase went on. And there's going to be a lot of pressure now on those solo laners of Dark Passage to not get caught out and not be jumped on by Riosto.
At least they're putting the pressure back on Pain to also watch their position and their ability to group up, because if they stay up clustered as 5, then that's what Gragas is going to be looking for, to get his combo off and single out somebody for Kazakhs to jump on.
Well, we'll have to see how this plays out. This is potentially the grand final placement match here for Pain Gaming. They are 1-0 up against Turkey's Dark Passage. And of course, they're feeling confident. They've beaten them 2 out of 2 games in the group stage. They just beat them very convincingly in their very first matchup. We're jumping into this now potentially deciding game. But Dark Passage is running something we haven't seen from him. This is a composition that we haven't seen from actually any of the wildcard teams all weekend. And that unknown factor always plays a role, you know, if you're not 100% sure how to play against it.
They're not quite going to the extent of a AD Lulu mid and bringing out the Tryndamere solo split pushing all game long, but I feel like this is a pretty good answer that they've come up with.
I think the Australians letting the blood rush to their heads once the gravity was the right way up. Once the gravity was the right way up. Now, however, we are into the matchup. Pain Gaming, remember, they were the higher seed. They decided to pick red side for the first game, which means they are now blue side in the second game. And Dark Passage, they're wearing the red trunks. We'll see how this early game goes, because previously, Pain were actually very aggressive. We've seen an early slingshot out of their jungler in the previous matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they'll be doing that again here, but we saw in the video, some of the Pain guys are saying this crowd is not as loud as the Brazilian crowds, and it looks like we have plenty of people here. I don't know why everyone's so quiet. I guess we don't have very many Pain fans.
I'm not sure. I wonder if we can get 3 cheers to send the Brazilians a message. So on 3, guys, let's go. Hoo-ah. 1, 2, 3. That, you know what, they're right. The Brazilians are louder than all of you guys. That's shocking. We'll do this one more try. 1, 2, 3. That's a little better. That's a little better.
You need something more like Demacia or League of Legends related at least, Trevor.
Wow, we'll do it Demacia to close out the show.
You got to work on your chant calls.
What's happening in this game other than everybody walking around?
Well, we had a couple of early wards placed down by Pain, as well as by Dark Passage. So pretty much mirrored vision here for both teams. And this has really been the story in a lot of the competitive games. Everyone favoring to get that red side vision. And then the junglers having to be a little bit wary about their beginnings. Both people are going to start their own reds, though, so it shouldn't come to anything this early in the game. Well,
both teams have got very good early game junglers. Jarvan and Lee Sin, particularly effective at getting involved and helping to secure kills during the laning phase. We'll have to see whether Sir T or Riosta can pick that up. And we are going to see head-to-head matchups again as the dual laners go top and both of our top laners go bottom.
Yeah. BRTT is extremely confident in his laning phase, the 2 versus 2.
And Fab's doing great work here. Brennan Reza forced backwards. That's a lot of damage from Taste the Fear on that isolation bonus.
He did not pop his red elixir, though, because he didn't think that he was going to be able to get the kill. And he does back off in time to avoid the support from Jarvan. So it did also waste a little bit of that jungler time, which means that he's relieving a slight amount of pressure on the rest of the lanes.
We'll have to see if not having that potion works in his favor as well.
They also just pinged out Jarvan, so they're still aware of Jarvan's movements. And Pain seem to be very, very comfortable right now. Even up in that top lane, they know it's going to take Jarvan a few more seconds to be able to finish off with blue and come up there. So they're still playing aggressive here, punishing that Vayne early game with Caitlyn's long range.
Well, we'll have to see if Timion can make this work. Down the bottom lane, Venom down to 250.
There's the red elixir.
Does flash and forced to use that slingshot to get away, but he does get away safely. That's the important thing.
And he did have to use the flash very early there because of the aggression here from Fab.
That's a double bubble, throwing up members of Dark Passage. Now, the RTT is going to try and tumble around and get as much damage down as possible. And at this point in time, the sustain of that Sona is going to outpace the sustain of Nami.
It's going to be very close up in that top lane. They both have defensive wards, though, and the lane bush is even warded for Dark Passage.
We do see the Riosta does get knocked up into the air. That's Sir T with a double buff. That's just going to be able to safeguard away. Now Pain is trying to get in range here. And we do see that, he's now jumped on. The execution not going to be enough. Ignites are traded back and forth. Who's going to pick up the first blood here? It does land for Naru playing Gragas. And the shield from Lee Sin is going to be able to keep Riosta alive. We do see Sir T trading back and forth with Naru. As now all of a sudden, the solo laner Fab has joined the party and he gets knocked up while flying through the air.
That was great play by Naru in the mid lane. He came over to allow Lee Sin to escape that and then landed the burst combo onto Orianna. Cammy was not expecting that.
No,
he does not get first blooded very often.
Well, it definitely worked in Naru's favor. He does secure the gold for that first blood, as well as a little bit of additional time in lane without any other focus. Sir T is hovering around that bush though, and we'll have to see that with Kami returning. Red buff is just worn off. The possibility of a reply kill was there, but it didn't work out for them. Now in the top lane, that looks like an Ignite has gone down onto BRTT. He manages to survive by getting out of range of that Pilt of a Peacemaker. And that's a very low HP Caitlyn.
She didn't use her barrier though, still has it.
So the knockup does get avoided by a very good flash. And Leon gets out cleanly, down to about 57 HP, but barrier's still alive.
Leon just holds onto that barrier to the very last second. Feel like it's gonna be a good baiter, but he almost drops it to the flag. Demacian
standard drops on his head and drops his HP to 25. And it looks like Surtees, he was thinking about it. He was thinking about throwing out another flag. And Leon does get away cleanly, and all of a sudden Riosta's gonna try and defend this wave up just a little bit.
Now, both junglers have made their appearances top, but because Surtee was the first one up there and they got the aggression out first, we also have a Vayne beating a Caitlyn in CS at 530.
Well, one of the other things that's happening as far as CS is concerned is Riosta, 19 CS to Surtees 6. He also has an assist to his name. And, you know, a lot of that could stem from that lost time in the jungle by Surtee trying to save or defend Venom, you know. Works into his favor. Riosta's got the Sonic Wave available. Doesn't manage to land it as BRTT tumbles away. Gets himself out of range, and Riosta, unfortunately, unable to secure a second kill.
And we have Cammy taking the race now, so Surtee is not going to catch up anytime soon. He's still level 3 coming out of the jungle.
Yeah, Riosta's level 5 at this point in time, getting closer and closer to that level 6. There's only about a level and a half difference, though, and we'll have to see how impactful that actually works out. As now the 3-man Dark Passage is pushing down this top lane, and this is a significant improvement in their early game as far as the Turkish players are concerned.
Yeah, really good showing here from Dark Passage coming up in the second game. They don't want to be kicked out this early.
Well, we do see though on the minimap, Surtee is moving up the river. This could potentially be a 3v3. However, Surtee just peels away to the side. Be very careful here as Holy Thoth does not have his crescendo available. Flash was there, and wisely, I think, Dark Passage back away after securing that tower.
Level 4 pretty far away from getting that crescendo, but it also means nobody else has their ultimates up in that lane, and nobody goes to fight. Now it's up to Pain to decide. Would they rather freeze that lane and just last hit so it pushes extremely slowly, or continue and shove the lane into the tower so that they can actually answer on the rest of the map?
Well, as it stands, Dark Passage, you got a 3-man stack in the mid lane, facing off against the 3-man of Pain. However, it's a support for an AD carry that's holding this lane. You can see that the RTT split pushing, or at least containing the CS that is pushing towards him. Doing the best he can to last hits, and pretty close so far.
So BRTT is not freezing that lane. It's just that he's Vayne with no area of effect damage, so it takes him a while to push it back.
You know, Venom and Fab trading ultimates and damage. They ignite for barrier. A lot of damage going back and forth, but almost in unison. Both champions are like, well, we can't kill each other just yet, and they actually stop fighting.
Nice ultimates, though, by both of them. They just decided to trade blows. We do have the... So Vayne is one of the AD carries that's weakest at split pushing until she gets something like a static shiv. So it's taken him this long to get the minion wave back up to Dark Passage turret, which actually meant that Caitlyn had a lot of time to be able to make her presence felt in that mid lane and then get back up top before the wave's at her turret, so she doesn't miss out on much of that CS.
Well, you see that Fab jumps on top of Venom, gets that leap, throws out the Void Spikes, and is continually trying to poke him down, really. It does look like his Taste of Fear was leveled up. Riosta does not manage to catch that Sonic Wave onto Zac, so unable to do any of those kickbacks that we've seen numerous times throughout the weekend.
Venon still has Cell Division up too, so the Revive passive is available. An extended turret dive would be a poor decision, and they decide to pull back as they see Jarvan.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of tower dives on Zac over the course of this wildcard tournament, and it needs to work out a little cautiously. Fab being forced back with that red buff, really hitting particularly hard. Surtee probably got the same amount of HP as both of his opponents. Tower hits are going to drop Riosta to about 200 HP, and he's forced to run backwards. A little bit too much damage from underneath that tower.
And the mid laners are actually mirroring each other, both of them thinking of roaming down bottom. Gragas can actually get there very quick. Both of these mid laners like to AoE down the minion wave. Oh, here we go, in on Orianna.
Oh, we do see they throw Kami back with Shockwave goes down, catches a super minion as well. Kami's now going to get another barrel to his face, and actually Kami comes off lesser in that trade.
Yeah, because there's a blue buff on Naru right now. He does not care about that cooldown. And it's similar to what we just saw down in the bottom lane, where both of the solo laners using everything at their disposal, and Naru was the one to initiate that because he had the blue buff already, and he'll have the shorter cooldown.
So I'm taking a look at the CS now that wave is pushing back towards Pain Gaming as far as Pain are concerned, and you can see that L'Talion is even on CS with BRTT Pain. The big difference here is those the top laners. Fab 75 to the 45 of Venom. Another lane where Venom falls behind in CS.
Fab's come out very strong since that early one where he went behind the turret and started to make use of his isolation damage on Zac. But he's also had repeat ganks from Lee Sin here, so it hasn't been all Fab.
Well, Dark Passage with a numbers advantage, vision advantage, secure the first dragon of the game shortly before 10 minutes and 15 seconds. They extend their gold lead to 3,000 right now.
That's the side benefit there of the matchup you were just talking about, where Fab's basically running Venon out of lane. Because they're actually bottom instead of top right now, they get control of Dragon, and just that one pink ward is enough to secure them another global objective. So Dark Passage looking so much better this game.
And Nari's cheeky enough to steal away the Wraith Cam, gets thrown up into the bubble. He did use his Ignite there on Sir T, and I imagine if he wasn't stunned by that bubble, he may have been able to get a full combo off and look for a kill, but Ignite is now burned and that burst potential slightly reduced.
Yeah, very timely Aqua Prison right there, saving Jarvan, regardless of the fact that it was Naru versus 3 members of Pain Gaming in the area.
And we do see as Naru manages to throw Kami backwards. Body slam does land. Can I have his barrel up in just a moment or two as here comes Espeon. Going to be able to get the heal out, and it's going to keep Kami alive for the time being, but Kami, even though he's being bullied and pushed around, he's not losing out on CS.
Naru's doing his best to clear the waves and get as much harass down on Kami as possible so that he can send him back to base so that he will miss out on that CS. But Kami has been taking those rates, like we said earlier too. So every time he comes back to lane, he catches up even quicker.
Well, we do see that Naru and Rios trying to put some damage in that mid lane tower. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay off for them as they force backwards. Inteleon and Holy Thoth now warding up the blue buff side of Pain Gaming as they are fairly overextended right now. There's not a lot of vision in the river, so they've got to be very cautious with how they play, and I think they realize that, hence the retreat, hence the backing off at this point in time.
Dark Passage, it's a good job though. That's exactly what you want to do when you have the mid-game global gold lead that they've gotten from the early turrets and the early dragon. So they just need to keep up the pressure, and to do that you have to ward deeply. So it's a good follow-up, but they actually have to capitalize on it with plays because they're winning all of their lanes right now, and they have to get more out of it.
Well, the blue buff on side of Pain Gaming should be respawning in the not too distant future. We might see Dark Passage trying to make a play for it. You can see Holy Thoth with his flash available, poising himself towards this mid lane, once again returning out, and here comes Attilion with that pickaxe and Vamp Scepter. So maybe the tower and maybe blue buff, we'll have to see, as there is a fair number of Dark Passage members around this area of the map.
It looks like Naru's going a bit deeper here, and he wants to exert some jungle pressure all by himself.
They're able to at least scare Sir T away, but that red buff is still alive. It's actually chasing Naru, taking him for a walk. Tower is still standing in the mid lane. Espeon unable to land that Aqua Prison. You can see Naru coming from behind.
And again, Vayne without the wave clear up top for a long period of time means that Caitlyn can make her presence felt mid, and it's slowly chipping away at this mid turret.
Oh, knockout not managing to land as Naru just body slams to safety. Gets himself just out of sight as Fab has now been left unattended. He's extended that gold, that creep lead even further. He's got a lot of damage down onto this tower. Unfortunately, he's run out of minions, so he is forced to back off at least for a brief moment or two.
I love how Dark Passage are all on the same page here. They're playing every single lane as aggressively as they can. Naru in mid, every time he's got his ulti ready, he's using it for harass just to force Cammy back to base. Fabulous is doing the same thing. Every time he can get close to Venon, he's going for trades. And because of that, they're slowly getting the tower damage advantage, both in mid and bottom. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's already made quick work of her turret.
Yeah, take a look at the mid lane. Flash Crescendo comes out, instantly flashed away from Pain Gaming. That's a flash and the Crescendo blown. But they did get the tower, so traded summoner spells and ultimates. At the end of the day, Dark Passage advantage.
Yeah, very quick reflexes over there. Pain Gaming on the ball. They haven't lost it quite yet, but that's going to be the second turret going down. They just got the mid one, and Fab wants to finish this one off.
Oh, we do see Let's Bounce coming out from Venom. He's throwing Fab around. Fab's going to stealth up. Ignite is ticking. He now turns back onto Venom. Hex Drinker has been popped, but here comes Jarvan. The knockup throws the bug into the air, and we'll see if they've got a fly swatter down. Shield comes up from Riosta's safeguard. Now the barrier has been burned. First kill of the fight. That is going to be Fab going down as Riosta and Naru now have the health and the damage advantage. Barrel goes down, and Certi actually flashes away. He may try to get a double knockup if he goes backwards, decides against it. Was out of mana as well, so may not have been able to cast in a 1-for-2 trade.
Great roam there from Naru. He had forced Kami back earlier, so he was the only mid laner with the time available to rotate down, and he was able to back up Fab. Even though he had overextended a little bit because he wanted to finish off that turret, 1-for-1 trade, they'll take that one. Yeah,
definitely going to work out in their favor. We do see that Naru is falling a little bit behind those creeps, but he's decided to pick up that Morellonomicon as his very first item. That's got a lot of benefits against the lifesteal, the healing, and very importantly on Zack's passive as well. All that reduced healing once they get him lower just makes his burst combo even more difficult to deal with.
It's very surprising as well if you're not used to playing against that Gragas combo. Rushing a Morellonomicon means that he gets cooldown reduction on it as well, which plays into the strategy that he's been running mid lane, which is basically throw everything he has on cooldown to force Kami back to base as often as possible.
If available, throw barrel is the basic strategy that we've been seeing, and it's working out for the time being.
I do like how, Dark Passage, after losing that game, they've turned the aggression up to 10 here. Everybody is just going all out in every single lane.
The nice thing is they haven't been caught out of position really. All the time they have been playing very deep and have been playing on Pain Gaming's side of the map. It's always been calculated. You can see now with the numbers advantage and with the fact that they've got a pretty significant lead, they're going to be able to pick up an uncontested Dragon here. I believe they're first of the game.
All of that minion wave shoving into turrets has afforded them so much map pressure that they can take Dragon on cooldown at this point. And Naru looks to catch out.
We do see Espeon has been caught out. The barrel's not going to be enough to close him. We do see a Condemn though. Throws the Tillion backwards as here comes Zack. Let's bounce all over the place. The 90 caliber net throws Tillion a little bit to safety. Fab exhausted underneath the turret. The first victim to fall is in fact going to be Holy Thought on Sona. They've traded support for support, but now Naru is way overextended. The rest of his team has bailed. They've booked it out of there, and all of a sudden, Pain Gaming with a very good win in this team fight. It's not over yet as Fab tries to jump in and fight targets. Riosta is going to have a ward to put down and jumps over the wall. It was in fact Dark Passage's second Dragon, so thanks to the global gold, they still maintain that 5,000 advantage.
Yeah, really good that they took Dragon before going for that turret dive, because Pain were looking for that one. Now they'll at least have the respawn timer, but it was really just Dark Passage thinking they had caught out Nami there and oversending a little bit. Tower dive is not the thing that they want to do at this point.
Yeah, and really good reactions from Venom when, coming in, they're disrupting everybody of Dark Passage and really helping Pain Gaming at the very least secure that team fight and their first tower of the game. So if they are able to continue this focus on other lanes, they can bring the goal back. Well,
Dark Passage don't really have a tower diving comp here. There's nobody that's going to build a huge amount of armor to soak up that damage. Lee Sin is a long ways off from being able to be that initiator with his safeguard in and looking to kick somebody back. So they don't really have any business fighting around turrets. They'd much rather have those open areas where they can make use of the Gragas combo. Oh my goodness, he gets caught.
Yeah, and Italian's going to get taken down. BRTT with a brilliant stun there. Just condemns against the wall, and it's difficult to duel Vayne. I think we'll leave it at that.
I love the golf claps coming out from the crowd. Yes, yes, well played, BRTT. Nice duel there.
So the one thing that we are seeing from Dark Passage, even though they don't have your traditional tank when it comes to tower dives, they've got the ability to get you away from the tower. Lee Sin kick, Gragas barrels, like, well, you stay at the tower, we just want that dude, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Oh, they go in on Kami. There goes another turret dive.
And I do manage to jump on it. The Dragon's Rage kick was used. Unfortunately, didn't go the right way now. Riosta gets knocked up in the air. Holy Thoth forced backwards. There's no crescendo available. Now that Holy Thoth is caught in, he's the first victim, and that safeguard from Riosta to the ward gets him out cleanly. Now Fab, there's nobody in execution range. Condemned so close to pinning him to the tree line. Not going to work out, and Pain Gaming have now turned the aggression to 11 as they force Dark Passage backwards.
Well, another turret dive by Dark Passage and another failed trade right here. Kaylin was not even with the team.
Now the minion wave has been taken out thanks to that very good wave clear of Dark Passage. And it does mean Pain are unable to continue that siege. They've got a pretty weak siege team as well. Pain is very short range. Melee Zac, melee Job, and it's risky getting in range of those towers, especially against the Lee Sin and the Gragas.
I feel like the outer turrets here are going to stay standing for quite a bit of time on Dark Passage side.
Well, the defense definitely has been pretty good so far, and the fact that FabFab's picked up those boots of mobility, he should be able to respond very, very quickly to any focus.
Naru has a good position here on BRTT.
There was no explosive cask available, unfortunately.
So he also doesn't have the same ward coverage on the red side jungle here as he does up on the blue side jungle. If he had known that there was nobody else from Pain in the area, he could have gone all in for that. But without the vision, it's too chancy at this point.
Just decide to back away. Pain Gaming have effectively stalled the focus of Dark Passage here for the last 8 or so minutes. They haven't lost more objectives. They've actually taken more kills than they've given up. And they're finding a way to claw back this gold game. 5,000 gold at 12 minutes is significantly less impactful than 5,000 gold later in the matchup. Pain Gaming are doing good to stall.
Yeah, this is a new face that we haven't seen from Pain Gaming because they haven't been so far behind in the early game. How will they deal with stalling it out until they can get even on gold again?
Well, they've yet to really be caught out, and I think they've taken advantage of Dark Passage's mistakes on those dives more than they've really created the opportunities themselves. And it was a mistake at Dark Passage in the previous game. They didn't make plays. They didn't find doors to open and windows to jump through. So we'll have to see if Pain are able to avoid that stumbling block.
Pain are also using a lot of pink wards to ward up their own jungle. So not only do they have vision of the movements of Dark Passage, but they can actually clear out the wards from Dark Passage so that they can sort of stop the bleeding and retain control of their own jungle at least, even though they are that 3K, almost 4K gold behind.
Yeah, that red, that Sightstone there really saving Riosta's life. He was able to get away cleanly. A couple of times actually he's gone incredibly low in his team fights and used the mobility of Lee Sin just to get himself out. As it stands, Pain Gaming going to secure their blue buff. Dark Passage were looking to challenge, but there wasn't enough members to actually pick a fight there.
Dark Passage don't look quite focused at this stage of the game. They should have control of Pain's side of the jungle, but we just talked about Pain successfully defending both of their buffs there. They got the blue and the red where they wanted them. Dark Passage are not taking as many objectives as they did in the early game.
Well, we're definitely going to have to see how and when Pain decide to pick this fight. They've dropped that gold lead now to about 3,000 odd gold. Pain hitting that 200 CS mark, is about to get close enough to finish off that Phantom Dancer, not too far away. And with the Blade of the Ruin King and the Phantom Dancer, you've got to feel that that's really a power spike that BRTT and the rest of Pain would want to take advantage of. Admittedly, they are dealing with an Infinity.
Oh, there's the jump!
Kami, that's so much damage going down, but they haven't been able to close out the kill. Shockwave pulls Riosta backwards, but there's no one else from Pain just yet. The explosive cast throws Kami into the wall. They picked up the first kill. That's a jungler down for a mid lane, and now all of a sudden FabFab finds himself surrounded by members of Pain Gaming. That is going to be a dead bug. Crescendo locks up members of Pain Gaming, and the Hex Drinker saves Dark Passage's FabFab. He manages to get away. They trade 1 for 1. But Pain Gaming were basically 2v4, 2v5 for most of that engagement.
FabFab gets out alive after that one, so close. The early Hex Drinker definitely paying off, but also Venon got out with just as low life. It wasn't quite as tense for him because he's got Cell Division, but equally long cooldown right there.
Well, the one thing that we do see from FabFab is his flash and his barrier have now been used up, and that's another, I don't want to use the word dive, but that's another fight that Dark Passage have started that hasn't really gone the way that they had intended.
Exactly, another trade, another even trade here for Pain. The only thing that goes in Dark Passage's favor is that, hey, they got the dragon right before that. So they've done a good job of continually taking all the dragons in this game, and that's why they're stretching their gold lead. So they've had a really good start for Dark Passage in this second game, coming out with an answer to Pain, which nobody else has had. But they have to keep up with this game plan and finish it off. It's all about the late game now.
And it's something that Dark Passage have actually done every dragon for the last 3. They get dragon, they pick a fight, and it does tend to backfire. So we may be in for another couple minutes before any action is committed to, at least from a Dark Passage point of view. Since they've got those 3 outer towers, they've not been confident enough to push the inner towers just yet, even with that immense range of Caitlyn. They're playing it very, very safely.
And Caitlyn with an Infinity Edge is a huge item for her, so they're actually going to have a lot more power from the back line, which they did not have before. And we also have a very good spike on Naru right now because he's got a death cap on top of his Morella Nomicon, and technically a 6-item build because he's got 2 more rings than a Crystalline Flash.
I think that's not quite the way it's intended, Kobe, but I cannot discount that. Then there's multiple players in 6-item builds right now. We'll have to see how well Dark Passage can respond. We did see Venom thinking about a fight there. He landed himself squarely on top of Riosta, but decided against it, just backed away, opted not to use that let's bounce. And, you know, truthfully, Pain Gaming, they haven't necessarily stacked up unless they're defending a tower. This may be the first time. Insta-flash from Naru.
And it's because Pain know that they're just gonna wait. Oh my god!
Surti just gets shredded. He's thinking about picking a fight, and Dark Passage managed to pick up a kill onto Surti's job. And now we do see BRTT forced backwards. Ignite is gonna be enough to pick up the kill.
Fab still alive!
Manages to stay alive. He's life stealing off the blocks, is gonna be able to do so as Riosta flashes forward. Dragon's Rage kick, and that is an ace for Dark Passage. In an instant, they pick up 5 kills, and Dark Passage are looking to take towers.
Fab always seems to get out right there, and I don't know why Pain went aggressive. They actually had a free flash there by Jarvan going in onto Naru, but then it compromised Jarvan's position, and he could not get back, costing them an ace.
Well, as you see Fab recalling, the death timers are still fairly low, and Dark Passage going to be able to pick up the 2nd tower. 13 seconds on Kami, and they wisely back away. Low mana pools and lower HP pools mean it was a risky play, but they extend that gold lead further, and with an exposed inhibitor, that might be the welcoming that Dark Passage are looking for.
They just breathed a huge sigh of relief. They already had the lead, but they were struggling to capitalize, and now that they don't have to deal with the turret, they don't have to make one of those very risky turret dives that they've failed over and over again. They could just go to the exposed inhibitor, which is also the perfect inhibitor for them to go for because it's at the bottom of the map, and once that's down, then they can force Pain to come at them through the Baron pit and force them to fight outside of the turrets.
The impact that Fab had in that previous team fight cannot be discounted. He was a large part of that burst onto Surti that basically forced Surti into the Cataclysm. So he said, well, I'm gonna die. I'll try and lock you in for as long as I can, and just backfired a little bit. Dark Passage moving themselves actually towards the Baron side of the map now with a large amount of vision. I wonder if they're considering it or if maybe they're just playing that bait card.
So they're trying to preemptively clear out the wards around the Baron. If I was them, I would definitely like to return to that bottom lane as soon as possible, though, and get another fight going with Pain in the open battlefield.
Well, as it stands, all 5 members of Dark Passage are basically head-to-head with all 5 members of Pain Gaming. Minion Wave is slowly making its little conga line up. And the inner top lane tower is the target of Dark Passage. That's an Infinity Edge static shift Caitlyn. She's clearing waves very quickly.
This is very dangerous for Dark Passage, though.
Venon's gonna jump himself in. Slingshot comes out. Cataclysm goes down. Surti's on the front line. Venom still not used that. Let's bounce. Crescendo is available. Doesn't manage to lock up any damage dealers as Venom is gonna be the first victim of the team fight. And Pain Gaming completely scattered in that one.
Looks like they don't have as many engages as they're used to. Both Jarvan and Zach with the semi going in, and nobody's there with them, so they take a lot of damage and then have to use everything to get back out of the fight. Dark Passage are taking this one deep.
Take a look for the Sonic Wave. Riosta's gonna fly himself forward. Fab gets a first kill. He's got the resets available, decides not to jump in. But with that Sonic Wave sitting on Kami, the threat of Resonating Strike forces him backwards. We do see that BRTT is now trying to defend this inhibitor turret. However, that's 5 members of Dark Passage. Sonic Wave lands, command attack goes, defend goes in. A very good stun onto Fab. Throws him against the wall. That's going to prevent him dealing some damage as BRTT tumbles into an inhibitor. Barrier is up. The Silver Bolt is going to be enough to give BRTT a double kill, and they successfully defend the inhibitor.
Very close right there. And Dark Passage, if they had been at the bottom area, then that would have been the inhibitor down. However, they got that one turret, so there's only one turret standing outside the base of Pain that's left standing.
Well, we'll have to see how well Dark Passage can close this out. Condemn so close to throwing Naru into the wall. Phantom Dancer and that Blade of the Rear King for BRTT. We talked about how it's a nice power spike, but he hasn't really had a chance to pick a fight. Now we do see him chasing forward, and Naru's just going to body slam through the tree line and get out cleanly.
Pain may really be missing that Malphite right now because that's really a guaranteed engage with the Unstoppable Force, whereas with the Jarvan, he's going in and you can get to the targets, but if there's not a Shockwave primed and ready to go off, then he takes a lot of damage going in for that Cataclysm.
Of course, in terms of the champion selections, Pain Gaming could have picked that Malphite. It was available to them, was neither banned nor taken away by Dark Passage. However, Pain Gaming, thanks to a little bit of the team fight control and some breathing room, they're able to pick up their first dragon of the game. The question is now, can they hold? The question is, can they defend? There's no super minions, so that definitely helps them out a lot. However, that exposed, inhibitor, it maybe should be what Dark Passage are looking for.
It's either that or go back to the Baron, because they did just spend a bunch of pink wards on the Baron area, and they should be aware that it's still ward free for them. They can try and sneak one very quickly since Kha'Zix has so much damage right now, and Baron is always isolated, then he'll get the bonus.
Well, we'll have to see how they decide to play this one. They've actually got themselves a little split right now. There's a very, very big minion wave in this bottom lane. You can see that both Naru and FabFab, they're thinking about whoever's going to farm this up. That's who they want to jump on top of, but they find themselves very overextended. Here comes 5 members of Pain Gaming.
Both FabFab and Naru do have dashes, but if the entire team comes down, then they would also be able to get the Baron. This is a very interesting predicament that Pain are in if they decide to go after the duo push or the 3-man Baron squad.
Well, this looks like a 3v3 as you do see Venom. He throws himself in, let's bounce his up. Cataclysm is available if Sir T wants to use it. He manages to get kicked away by the Lee Sin. Very good Dragon's Rage, and that's going to be enough of a counter. Tidal Wave gets throws out by Espeon, but it's not going to be enough to land on anybody. Now the 2v2, mid laner and top laner versus mid laner and AD carry. A lot of damage from those barriers on Kami. You've got to be careful if FabFab jumps on him.
They also have to be careful of home guards going that deep into Pain's base. At this point, Pain should all be buying up home guards if they can. First one to do it is Venon.
Well, we'll have to see how effectively it works out for them. BRTT trying to move forward as FabFab has been able to catch out Sir T. Taste of Fear is going down, but that isolation bonus is about to wear out. There's no ledge bounce available. FabFab jumps back in. He gets the first kill, jumps back out thanks to the reset, and that's a very good kick. FabFab with that more and more Mortius, a lot of armor penetration, starting to get towards that Black Cleaver. He is already terrifying before that's completed.
FabFab making a really good showing in this game right here. Even with the 5 members of Pain coming to defend bottom, he finds the time to go back in for the kill, relying on the reset to get his jump and escape.
Well, the really nice thing about that is just confidence in the damage you're dealing. And now that Dark Passage, you've got a numbers advantage, and crucially, the jungler is down. They've actually started off this Baron. Naru is running very good interference in that mid lane, holding at least the top laner, Vizzy Venom. No hint of it. There was no poison from Pain Gaming to even move towards Baron.
That's because they haven't been able to get a ward over by Baron for the last 5 minutes. Dark Passage have done a very, very good job of keeping that area clean. And now they can finally return to the exposed inhibitors, this time with Baron buff. So when Pain decide to go for that engage, they'll actually have a giant upper hand in it.
Well, I feel like every time we've talked about the bottom lane, Dark Passage said, nope,
they just pinged it, okay?
Okay, right, well, now we'll see. Now we're confident. Now we're confident this one. There are some Turkish pings down on that bottom inhibitor. Dark Passage trying to even up the series against Brazil's Pain. They are 0-1 down, and they're in. This is basically their game to lose. I mean, they've got Baron, they've got a 10k gold lead, they've got a massive tower advantage. As long as they don't mess up the tower dives, they should be okay. And we'll see how well they pick these next 2 fights.
And if they do lose this game, then they're out. So they definitely have to play this extremely carefully right now. Taking just the bottom inhibitor and then returning to slow push another lane and take their time. Because they definitely have the advantage. With both a Sona and a Baron buff on your team, you have incredible regen. And you have a very strong siege potential.
Well, you can see Naru is heading himself through the jungle. Now down towards this bottom lane. They're still a little bit split up. Mon attack and dissonance is going to hit fairly hard. It's not really going to dissuade him as that Baron and the healing will now start to take effect. There's no tower to sit underneath, so Pain Gaming starting to feel the pressure. Here comes Venom, Slingshot goes out, doesn't catch anybody. Shredder's Reverie was enough. Now we do see a very good Condemn onto FabFab against the wall. He's trying to find a kill onto Surti, but Surti manages to get away. A good tidal wave is going to buy some time and some, confusion as far as Dark Passage is concerned. The Ace in the hole is going to fly out, not going to be enough to pop Cell Division. Riosta's looking for the kill on BRTT, but he's forced to flash away to safety. Natillion's immense range is going to keep BRTT's Vayne under control and lockdown. Pick up a single kill, they pick up the inhibitor, Dark Passage back away, their target's going to be mid lane.
Again, Naru right here with the Gragas, the champion of Turkey right now, knocking Nami back into the team, so they did end up with one kill at least, and they got the inhibitor, both the objective and the kill. Very good win for Dark Passage.
And BRTT and Pain Gaming were just unable to kill or FabFab, even with that Condemn. Throw themselves in. There's the Slingshot again. They've fought Holy Thought. There's no Crescendo available, but here comes Riosta and Naru. Now, Dark Passage are all over the place as they slowly started to rejoin this fight. BRTT picks up the first kill. That is onto Holy Thought's Sona. The Banshee's Veil has been popped, so let's see if BRTT can get away. Sonic Wave catches a minion, and Riosta's actually going to close that off. Condemn throws him over the wall. Thanks to a good safeguard. The rest of Dark Passage said, bro, what are you doing? We want the tower. So
well, he was buying time for his team to get alone damage on that turret, and they're able to grab another objective, more global gold for the team, and they can return with the end of this Baron buff to go purchase their items for the last push.
Well, we'll have to see where they decide for that to come down. Most likely going to be that top lane. We've already seen them putting some auto attacks down onto that inhibitor turret. But as it stands, League of Legends by the numbers, take every tower, take every objective, and then push for the Nexus. Dark Passage, they've maintained a gold lead for the majority of this game, if not all of it. I think they have all of it.
Because of what they're doing right here, Time the Dragons, again, they're going to clean up yet another dragon. Now the game has changed for Dark Passage too, because with the constant pressure down bottom, because of the inhibitor being down, their team is a really strong disengaged team for Caitlyn. Caitlyn's got the range to just get a couple hits onto a turret and then back up a little bit. They can rely on the Crescendo as their counter initiate, and then Gragas to ultimate a single person back, and they can get that isolation damage that FabFab's really going to enjoy at this point with all the armor penetration that he's accumulated.
Well, let's see whether or not they can pull that one off. They have started to group up towards that top half of the map. A couple of members of Dark Passage just making their way out of the base. Blue buff being secured for Naru, as if his mana regen and cooldown reduction was not enough. He's got that blue elixir glowing away. It's obviously going to help him out. He's now getting closer to the 6-item build, I believe, Kobe. He's on his hourglass. It's going to be his next point of call. And he's had a very good game. Interestingly enough, Holy Thought has not put a single point into his Song of Celerity, his E-spell, maxing out his Q and his W for the sustain and the damage. And I guess, if you rush a Shredder's Reverie, you don't need that speed rush quite as urgently.
They would much rather have the maxed damage aura and resistance aura for this siege that they're about to pull off, because without a Baron buff, they will need a bit more of the health regen. Gragas, though, with his blue buff, is going to be able to have very strong range harass, and they can buy the time for Caitlyn to get off stray auto attacks onto the turret fairly easily with the zoning potential of the Gragas barrel.
Well, we'll have to see how well Pain Gaming can defend this one. For the time being, Dark Passage are actually playing around in the space between the wall and the jungle. Instead of trying to get in through the lane, they're taking some poke from Kami's Orianna. Not really too much. Now we do see Natillon, he's just face tanking that tower, goes man mode and says, this is what I want. Tower's down to 50% HP. And Dark Passage not entirely committed to this tower push. The Ace in the hole gets used. That's a lot of damage onto Kami.
That's good. They don't want to fully commit. They're forcing Pain to come at them.
And we do see the Cataclysm is down. Surti and Venom doing the best they can. Crescendo's going to lock up the back line of Pain Gaming as Dark Passage pick up one, pick up two. FabFab's trying to find more kills as he gets bubbled in the air. That is a triple kill. He's looking for number 4. Cell Division is going to be available. That's the quadra kill. Are we on for the pentakill? The blobs are there. Are they going to time it? This may be the second pentakill as FabFab's looking for it. Pentakill for FabFab. times Kha'Zix, and in what style? Controlled, calculated, and completely brilliant.
Fab definitely deserving of the MVP this time around. Great job by them, and great job by Dark Passage coming back and taking this to a Game 3.
So they're gonna take it to the deciding game, and nobody would have expected a performance like this after seeing the group stage games, after seeing the domination in Game 1. Dark Passage with a massive confidence boost. Second pentakill on Gamescom.
I feel like they really needed that pentakill at the end of the game too, because of how strongly they got beat the first game. They have to get fired up now. And that's something that no matter what level you play League of Legends at, when you get a pentakill, you feel the power rushing through you. You get excited.
I'm particularly impressed with his teammates not nicking that away from underneath him. With Zach Blobs, the temptation is immensely great.
Are you that guy on the team?
If they're my friends. If I was playing with you, Kobe, I'd be that guy. But a great game by Dark Passage. We're going to go into the Game 3, the deciding game between Dark Passage and Pain. And remember, the loser goes back home. The loser takes top 4 in the international wildcard event, but that's it. The winner gets to challenge Lithuania tomorrow in the grand finals.
And Paint just talked about how confident they were too. Now after this game, they have a lot to discuss because they're going to have to cover up those weak points. This is not even the finals. They still have another best of 3 after getting through this one. They have a whole bunch more League of Legends to play.
One of the trends that I'm noticing throughout the wildcard events is that once a team falls behind early, they tend to not know how to bounce back. And when you think that each of these teams is the dominant team in their region, they haven't had to play from behind very often. So it could begin to explain some of the decision-making and the inability to claw it back.
Yeah, Paint definitely have to worry about getting overconfident.
Well, we're going to send it over to D-Man and Jet at the analysis desk for a closer look at the key plays of that game and how Dark Passage picked up the win.
Thank you very much, Trevor, and well, pointing out the fact that teams don't really know how to come back. Pain actually were coming back. We'll get to that shortly, though, because that's one of the replays we want to talk about. But overall, fantastic performance. Ironically, that pentakill at the end, it was Dark Passage getting a pentakill back because Pain Gaming did the pentakill on Dark Passage in the group stage.
And it was funny because the other one was also right at the end of the game where it was kind of a garbage penta at the end.
Yeah.
It still counts.
That one counted, though.
Still counts. Both of these ones count, and it ended up giving the team the victory. But the big swaying thing about this game is if we think back to last one, it was actually Fab Fabulous' Kale who had like a tremendous laning phase. And then by the end of it, Fab Fabulous was the one who ended up getting the pentakill because he was so strong. I do think the game was turned, though, with that first blood and Surti.
Yeah, let's check out that first blood because it was a fantastic kill and it could have been very different.
Yeah, that first blood is the craziest thing because Surti doesn't necessarily know how to play from behind. We've talked about so much this year how well he was able to play from ahead. Not this year, last 2 days. About how well he's been able to play from ahead because he constantly dives, constantly goes in, always challenges the enemy to go at him. And that's what he was trying to do when he was trying to get the first blood, it just didn't work out for him.
So let's check out that replay, of course. It was in the mid lane where all the action happened.
Yeah, so let's just roll it from here already at full speed. It's just the first blood. It's a little bit of a skirmish, and it was so close for Surti to get this one because he actually had Ryosta down very low before the fight even happened. But then, when Orianna comes in, things get a little messy, and actually, Surti had a chance to get the kill, but he missed the flag toss on Ryosta. First blood went to Gragas, and then Lee Sin pulled substantially ahead of him for the rest of the game. And after that, it seemed like Dark Passage had control of the game for quite a while, Demon.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fantastic start for them, of course. You know, it was a close-fought battle, and I actually thought Pain Gaming were going to come back into it, but it was really all about a couple of the team fights that just simply didn't go their way. Yeah,
so basically Pain started clawing their way back ever so slowly. There was a failed turret dive in the mid, which we're not going to show because we have more to show after that, where it did seem like they got a few kills. Dark Passage had a bit of indecision making, and then Pain was clawing their way back. And when they have Vayne, Orianna, Zach, you got to be really worried that they're going to be able to come back and just beat you in the late game team fights, but that wasn't the case.
No, so let's check out that replay, of course, because it was all about the fight. Pain were almost back in there, but it wasn't to be because there were some great plays from Dark Passage.
And this trap is what kind of started it. And this fight's another living example of how Pain, it's funny because when we talk to their coach, he says, Dark Passage plays one way. Pain also just plays one way, specifically Surti, and it's always going in. So when he stepped on this trap, He tried walking around, and instead of just running away and salvaging things, things got way worse. So let's just roll this at full speed to see how it happened. He tries to walk the wrong thing around the trap, and actually he goes in and is dead right at the start. And if we pause it here, you get to see the ridiculous Grog assault from Naru that even though the fight was almost already lost, guaranteed that the fight was over. There's no threat on Lithilion, who's on the right of your screen on Caitlyn. There is already an initiation blown by Pain, and Dark Passage just gets to run everyone down thanks to that splitting from the Gragas ultimate. Also, one last thing before we roll this clip again is BRTT gets the big 2-spike spell from Gragas because he gets hit back by the ultimate and then steps on a barrel. So let's just roll this clip at full speed. Barrel goes out, ends up hitting him one more time, and at that point, Dark Passage could just roll through absolutely everyone. It seemed close at this point, D-Man, except for the 5-for-0-8s that just basically ended the game. Yeah, and that was all the case in resource. Fab Fabulous got the reset, jumped out of there, and like you say, great fight. And clutch ulti, and that really can be the difference in some of these games. Because at that point, Pain Gamer were kind of coming back into it. They'd had a good skirmish, like you said, in that mid-turret. They'd actually come out on top, and they were starting to turn things around, but it wasn't to be. No, and now as we're going to Game 3, it becomes such a struggle for these guys. I don't necessarily think Dark Passage had Pain figured out that time. But what they did show is if they can somehow shut down Sir T early, it completely throws off Pain's game. I would almost want to focus, really, it's obviously you want to do this every game, but focus heavy counter jungling early, or just any type of shutdown, specifically at Sir T, because if he's not there to go in with everyone else, he's way ahead of the pack. If he doesn't have a little bit of beefiness to get him a bit of a start, it doesn't seem like Pain knows how to initiate fights. For me, it also seems that BRTT, he needs to get back on Caitlyn. It's what he did so well with in the round robin stages. And so far, he was obviously taken away from him. They went for the Vayne instead of Caitlyn. And the strange thing about that is he is so aggressive on Vayne, it seemed. He was always just right in the fray, which is what Vayne does. But Caitlyn does seem to fit him a little bit better because it allows him to pick his points at the outside of the fight with his very aggressive team. I mean, think of the way Pain plays in a sense. They have Venon and Sir T just going all in every time. You need a bit of cleanup for that because if BRTT goes and gets himself killed at the start of the fight, it's not going to synergize well. And BRTT, well, he went 15-1-5 against Dark Passage in the round robin. Yes. So he needs to get on that Caitlyn. So guys, it is time to take a quick break. But when we respawn, we'll have an epic conclusion of this game, 3-game series, of course. It is Dark Passage versus Pain Gaming. The trip to Friday's wildcard finals is on the line. We already have gaming gear there. Who will join them? Stick around, we'll be right back.